Hi everybody, Mr. Gallagher here. I'm going to show you how we are going to go about completing our climate project for our island portfolio. So I am looking right now at the Create an Island Portfolio project, which you will be able to find in the December 10th through 16th folder. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and click on the slideshow and open up in my app. All right, and what's going to be a little bit different this time is we're actually going to do our work on the climate piece right on the portfolio. So rather than uploading anything, we're just going to type right on here. So I'm going to go to slide 3 because slide 3 is where our climate project will take place. And these are the questions that I'm going to have to think about while I am creating the climate zone for my island. First thing I'm going to have to do is choose a climate zone. So for my climate zone, I'm going to think about from my notes which one I might like to have for my island. And remember, you have 5 to choose from. The next thing I'm going to have to think about is the description. So in 2 sentences, I'm going to have to use my own words to describe the climate zone that I chose. The next thing I'm going to have to think about is the impact on people. So in 4 sentences, I have to think about how this climate zone is going to impact the people that actually live on my island, and I need to think about things like how they might dress, what activities they'll do, and also what kinds of houses they'll live in. And the last thing I'm going to have to think about is the impact that my climate zone will have on nature. So in 4 sentences again, I'm going to have to think about how the climate zone is going to impact the different plants and animals that might be surviving on my island. And I'm going to have to think about what animals will live there and what types of trees, plants, or crops that could be grown on my island for the people. So let's take a look at this. All right, so I'm just going to go back because I do have an example, but I have my completed note sheet here. So this is how I'm going to go about deciding what climate zone I want to choose from. So I have 5 from my notes on the reading that I can pick. All right, the first one I could pick is a dry climate, then humid temperate, which would be very similar to like the southeast portion of the United States. I could pick humid equatorial, which is going to be like a tropical paradise type of island similar to the rainforest or anything within the tropic lines near the equator. I could have a tundra or ice climate that's going to be north of the Arctic Circle or south of the Antarctic Circle. That's going to be a very, very cold island. Or I could have a humid cold island, which is going to be actually just like the state of Minnesota, where you have 4 distinct seasons, cold winters and warm summers and things like that. All right, so what I'm going to do for my island is humid cold because I like 4 seasons. That's something that I really like about the state of Minnesota. So now that I've chosen humid cold, I know that that means that there are cold winters, warm summers, rain and snow, and the plants that live there are going to be like evergreen and leafy forests. So when I think about this, I immediately start thinking about 4 seasons or, like I mentioned, the state of Minnesota. So now what I'm going to do is go into my slides and I'm actually going to type this out. So if we take a look at my example here, this is what a filled out climate project will look like. So for my island, I chose the humid cold climate zone. All right, so I filled that blank in there with the title of my climate zone. The next thing I did was in at least in 2 sentences, I had to describe what this climate is. So this climate zone typically has 4 distinct seasons, including a spring, summer, fall, and winter. The summers in this climate zone are typically warm and rainy at times, and the winters are usually cold and snowy. This is much like the climate of the state of Minnesota. All right, so I've got my description there. And then again, that's all in my own words. I had to do a little bit of extra thinking. All right, and for the impact on people and the impact on nature sections, these are 2 sections where you're really going to have to do some thinking. All right, so the question is, using at least 4 sentences, how will this climate zone impact the people who live on my island? And I got to think about dress, activities, and housing. Well, the humid cold climate zone will impact the people living on this island in a variety of ways. First, people will need different clothes for different seasons, including light clothes for the summer, like shorts, t-shirts, swimsuits, and sandals. And for winters, people will need different warmer clothes like pants, sweaters, winter coats, boots, hats, and, well, it should say gloves. People can participate in all kinds of different activities since there are 4 seasons, like swimming and biking in the summer or snowshoeing and skiing in the winter. People's homes will need both furnaces and air conditioners because it will be cold in the wintertime but hot in the summertime. All right, so I have my sentences here and how the climate is going to impact the people that are living on my island. I've talked about how they might dress, what activities they might do, and what are some important things that houses need to have. So the last question that I have to think about is using at least 4 sentences. How will the climate zone impact plants and animals on my island? So I'm thinking about what animals could live there, what types of trees and plants might be present, along with crops that people could grow. Well, there will be a variety of plants and animals on my island due to the 4 seasons. So animals like bears, foxes, wolves, and eagles will be able to survive all 4 seasons on my island. Farming will also be possible because there are 4 seasons, so crops like corn and soybeans can be grown for people to harvest and eat. And there will also be different kinds of pine trees and leafy trees like maples that will be able to grow on my island. So it's important to think about this. If you choose like a dry climate where it's like a desert, what's going to grow there? Probably a cactus. Maybe they won't be able to farm as much because of lack of rain. So just think about how these climate zones might impact the people, plants, and animals on your island. And for the impact on people and the impact on nature, those are 2 sections where you really need to think about it. You won't find those answers in the book, but think about your island. If you're choosing a humid equatorial climate zone, which would be like a tropical island, maybe take a look on Google. What types of plants and animals can grow in a humid equatorial or tropical climate? Those are the questions you need to be thinking about and asking yourself. And again, you might not find those answers right out of the textbook, but you're going to have to think about how your climate zone will have an impact on people and impact on nature. We're going to have a progress check on the climate zone on December 14th, as we see up top here. And all you need to do is just type out this slide and leave it in the slideshow in your Create an Island portfolio, and do not submit it. We'll be able to see your work as you are working on it. So that's all I have for you. Good luck, and please have fun with this and be creative.